that was kind of where it all started from. You know, the whole, as history shows, the Red Orchestra mod, you know, from 2003 onwards, just picked up this, you know, this amazing head of steam, got really popular, went all the way through to win, you know, grand prize in the the 2004 Make Something Unreal contest.
Right. And let's talk about that real quick. Like you entered. Sure. You and your team, and John was in on that team, right? John Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, the team was, I mean, keep in mind at the time, I was very much, you know, I was kind of sort of just backroom stuff. I was doing writing, research, bits and pieces like that. You know, there were people like John and Bill and others doing a lot more of the actual work, you know, because they would, you know, they could make time to code and do animation and artwork and so on. But like all mods, it was a complete mix of people doing a couple of hours a week and people doing 40 or 50 hours. So it's a real bag.
Right.
I was just, I was just one of many who was sticking a fork in it, trying to help.
And so I'm sorry. So you guys won that NVIDIA's Make Something Unreal contest, right? And you guys won a $50,000 purse basically, but the real prize was getting access to that engine, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we've been asked, well. Yeah, we usually get the comment, yeah, it was the $1 million contest. You must have really enjoyed winning $1 million. And you go, well, we didn't actually win $1 million.
Right.
It's a shame. But no, as you say, I mean, the actual prize money was 50 grand. Well, not to be sneezed at, but then you have to keep in mind it had to be shared around a team of, I think it was about 20 or 30 people. I can't remember. So it, you know, nobody walked away rich.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think in one of the earlier rounds, one guy got a new computer. That was the level of it. But yeah, as you say, you're quite right. I mean, the big prize realistically was the engine license.
Right.
And actually, because they were coming onto the cusp of changing engines, we actually parlayed it into the old engine for what became our first game. And then access to Unreal 3 when that started to become a.
And your first game was a full game based off of the mod. The mod was called Red Orchestra.
Yep.
It was
I think we called it Red Orchestra Combined Arms by the end of it. But yeah.
And then
started adding vehicles in.
Yeah, and then you guys turned that into a full game after you guys won that Make Something Unreal contest, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we set up the Unreal contest, the Make Something Unreal contest. The results, I think, were announced around Christmas, but the very end of 2004. So, in the new year of 2005, four of us who'd kind of, I guess, kind of bubbled to the top of the mod. Not as in necessarily the best people, but perhaps the most committed.
Right.
Had decided that, look, we've got 500,000 players, and we've got something that's almost a game, and surely we should do something with this. So we ended up setting up the company early 2000, I think about February 2005, and then just before any of us had even met, of course, sort of stupid things like that. We always joke, I used to joke with my wife that it was basically we formed a company through internet dating. Yeah, as you say, it just kind of went through that weird patch where we'd sort of set up a company with four of us, didn't have an office or anything, and just sort of there was that brief moment of going, okay, what do we actually do?
Well, you guys took, you took that mod and you made a full game out of it, but you guys, you took some risk in it too. From what I hear, you guys, someone took a extra mortgage on a house, and some people took money out of retirement just to basically sustain you guys until you could put that game out, correct?
Yeah. Well, you think about it, I think we managed to from memory take something just over 30 grand's worth of prize money, put that in the company. But that, let's be honest, developing a game off something off a little over 30 grand is not going to get you far. And yes, there were we had to basically pull every stunt in the book that we could think of. Yes, there was borrowing money against houses, against assets, otherwise known as houses. There was pillaging relatives' pension funds. There was a loan from a friend, or rather a little mini investment from a friend of mine. There was, We did things like, guys who we couldn't afford any employees, but what we did was, some of the mod team who wanted to help out, what we did was pay them what we could, but we offered them basically a bonus system whereby, look, we can't afford to pay you before we launch, but if we pay you after we launch, we'll pay you what we owe you and a 50% bonus. And a good number of them went for that. So basically, we deferred paying them, and they took some of the, took a little bit of the risk with us.
Were you able to cut out a publisher by doing all that?
Yeah, that was. It was funny because kind of John and I were sort of the business people. He'd worked in the industry for a little bit on America's Army, and John was also a musician in prior life. Had a fairly jaundiced view of music publishers, and I think that carried over to video game publishers in 2000, as they were in 2005. And John and I went to GDC, Game Developers Conference in San Francisco in, I think it was early March 2005, and sat and talked with some of the publishers, and there were people, jumping up and down to throw us money. And then, there's one, actually we can talk about, because they said, we said, don't we need to sign a non-disclosure agreement? They went, oh no, we're Midway, we don't do that. So, okay, fine. But, there were companies like that who are willing to offer us a fairly substantial chunk of change.
Mm-hmm.
But we basically had to give up all rights in the game. And basically what it would turn out to be was, look, basically we give you the game and you pay us a salary and maybe a bit off the back end if we get very lucky. And we looked at these sort of deals, because that was very typical of the period. And we looked at these sort of deals and went, why would we do that? What's the point of setting up a company, where we own, and one single asset, and then we promptly sell that one single asset?
Yeah.
What happens, in the best possible situation that we make a bit of money, and if we're really lucky, they let us make the second game. But you look at, Call of Duty and Medal of Honor. I seem to remember that, was it originally 20? Whoever made the original one, they didn't get to make. Yeah, you could see publishers making very cash-driven, strategic decisions about who actually gets to make things.
Right.
We could easily see ourselves being in the situation of, hey, look, we've invented this thing, we sold the asset, and now we've made a bit of cash and we're broke.
Right.
What the hell? And so we just couldn't see ourselves going with that sort of deal, and we were pushing back hard and saying, no, we're not going to give you the IP. And of course, all the publishers at the time just went, well, in that case, we're not doing the deal, because that's how it works. So
right.
we'd reached this sort of impasse with big publishers. And I think John picked up the phone. And back in those days, you could pick up the phone and you'd get Valve's voice system, and he just went, Doug Lombardi. And ended up on the phone with Doug Lombardi, I think it was anyway, saying, look, are you guys thinking of have you guys thought about doing third-party games on Steam? I think Doug basically went, funny you should mention, we were just talking about that the other day. And the rest is history. We were one of the first signed up to release over Steam. We had to then, of course, scrape the money together to get the game done.
Right.
Small detail. Which is where, let's say, the pillaging of mortgages, pension funds, and everything else came in to keep ourselves going long enough to get the game out the door. But it was an interesting time. I mean, it was the publishers that we dealt with were very much a product of their time. The way it was expected to work was, well, congratulations, you're a developer, you have no money, we have money, you have what we want, a game, so we'll take the game and we'll give you some money, okay? And that was it. That was the way it worked. And I'm happy to say that the whole Steam idea worked out. we had some fun and games with, because we did do a deal for some retail publishing once we'd already got the Steam deal signed up. And the publisher there, still months later, couldn't get his head around the idea that they kind of tried to hold a gun to our head over one or two issues after the game was released, and we just went, No. And developers just couldn't, before digital distribution, developers couldn't do that. You're entirely dependent on the publisher. And what digital distribution gave us was, that level of freedom to go, no, we've got another revenue source. We would like to work with you, but we don't have to. The split between digital and retail sales at the time was very different to what it is today. I think initially something like 60% of our units, I can't remember off the exact numbers, but certainly more than 60% were retail sales still in those days. But even so, the numbers that were done on digital, I think we've said before, the numbers we sold in the first few days of Red Orchestra on Steam paid for the whole development. And you're going, bloody hell, it worked.